The world loves the harmless man, the smiling servant, the obedient shadow. But you standing here in silence, you know the hunger gnawing inside. You've worn the mask, fed them kindness, bent your back to carry their weight, only to be left forgotten, invisible, discarded. That rage you bury under nights of numbness. It is not weakness. It is your forge. Listen closely. The wolves do not beg for bread. They take the throat of winter and make the night bow. Steel does not weep. It screams as it's hammered into a blade. And kings are not crowned by mercy, but by fire, scars, and ruthless patience. Something in you is dying. Let it die. Something in you is waiting. Let it awaken. This is not motivation. This is war. And there are no rewards for the nice men who fall asleep in the storm. There comes a moment when every man must walk into his own graveyard, not of stones and tombs, but of masks, the masks he has worn for the world, the smile he forced when his chest was burning, the laughter he offered when his soul was cracking, the endless apologies he gave for simply existing. All of it, costumes stitched from weakness, sewn by fear, fueled by hunger for approval. That man, the nice man, must be buried, and buried without ceremony. Because the world does not honor him. He bends, he kneels, he breaks himself in half, and still they forget him. Still they step over him as if he were air. Harmless men are not loved. They are tolerated. And tolerance is just a quieter form of contempt. You know what it feels like, don't you? To smile while your gut twists with rage. To laugh as they dismiss you, ignore you, overlook you. You wonder if silence makes you noble. You wonder if patience makes you good. No, it makes you invisible. And invisibility carves the slowest death of all. This is why a funeral is required. The funeral is not tragic. It is necessary. The boy who seeks permission must be put to rest. The man who bows to every command must be cut down. Weakness clings like a ghost, whispering, "Stay safe, stay soft, stay agreeable." But ghosts belong in graves. You must dig that grave yourself, with your own bare hands, and bury every piece of softness that has betrayed you. Yes, betrayed you. Because every time you said yes when your heart screamed no, it was treason. Every time you lowered your eyes to avoid conflict, you exiled your own fire. Every time you suppressed the rage, the hunger, the storm, you poisoned your blood. This was not kindness. It was murder of the self. And the body count is high. Look into the mirror. See the corpses of choices you never made. Dreams slaughtered on the altar of politeness. Boundaries broken until nothing of you remained. That quiet ache in your chest, it is the weight of ghosts. It is the boy you were, rotting in chains, asking to be buried so something new can rise. Picture it. A dark sky. The earth torn open. You dig in silence. Sweat dripping. Breath sharp as the spade cuts into soil. The hole deepens. And in that pit, you lower him. The man who bent. The boy who begged. The smiling puppet who thought obedience would bring him peace. You do not pray. You do not light candles. You simply cover him in dirt and walk away. Bury him, or he will bury you. Let the world mourn for their harmless sons, their obedient shadows, not you. You are not here to be remembered as nice. Because here is the cold truth. Righteousness without strength collapses under pressure. Mercy without boundaries becomes slavery. Niceness without edge is camouflage for weakness. And predators sense it like blood. Do you think the wolf survives winter by being nice? Winter devours nice. Wolves endure by teeth, by hunger, by silence sharpened into blades. There is no need for speeches during this funeral. No audience, no applause. Only a man walking away from his own grave, lighter, colder, freer. He knows now that survival has no place for the harmless. He understands that death must come before rebirth. That softness must rot before steel can be forged. And when you rise from this burial, there will be silence inside you. At first it feels like emptiness. A heavy void where laughter used to sit, where apologies used to live. But that emptiness is not your enemy. It is space, the throne room being cleared, waiting for the sovereign to take his place. The old king is dead. Long live the new. Do not mistake this for cruelty. Do not confuse this with bitterness. This is liberation. The transition from echo to voice, from servant to sovereign, from shadow to flame. The boy who sought to please was always doomed, because the world feeds on those who feed it with compliance. But the man who buries him becomes untouchable. Walk through the storm now, and you will feel the difference. Eyes that once searched for approval now pierce, like arrows. Words that once bubbled to fill silence, fall silent themselves. Because silence carries weight you never knew you had. You will stop chasing, begging, bending. You will move like stone in the river, unyielding, calm, immovable. The nice man cannot survive here, but the man forged from his death, he commands survival. He does not ask. He does not wait. He does not kneel. This is the funeral of weakness. This is the death of the boy who bowed. Do not mourn him. Do not honor him. Do not wear his ghost on your shoulders. Stand over his grave, breathe deeply, and walk away. And when you do, the world will feel it. They will not know what died inside you, but they will sense something darker, sharper, heavier. The harmless man is gone. What stands in his place is dangerous, silent, unyielding. And when they look into your eyes, they will see it. The crown does not fit the bowed head. The grave is full now. The throne is waiting. There comes a moment when every man must walk into his own graveyard, not of stones and tombs, but of masks. The masks he has worn for the world, the smile he forced when his chest was burning, the laughter he offered when his soul was cracking, the endless apologies he gave for simply existing. All of it, costumes stitched from weakness, sewn by fear, fueled by hunger for approval. That man, the nice man, must be buried, and buried without ceremony. Because the world does not honor him. He bends, he kneels, he breaks himself in half, and still they forget him. Still, they step over him as if he were air. Harmless men are not loved. They are tolerated, and tolerance is just a quieter form of contempt. You know what it feels like, don't you? To smile while your gut twists with rage. To laugh as they dismiss you, ignore you, overlook you. You wonder if silence makes you noble. You wonder if patience makes you good. No, it makes you invisible, and invisibility carves the slowest death of all. This is why a funeral is required. The funeral is not tragic, it is necessary. The boy who seeks permission must be put to rest. The man who bows to every command must be cut down. Weakness clings like a ghost, whispering, "Stay safe, stay soft, stay agreeable." But ghosts belong in graves. You must dig that grave yourself, with your own bare hands, and bury every piece of softness that has betrayed you. Yes, betrayed you. Because every time you said yes when your heart screamed, no, it was treason. Every time you lowered your eyes to avoid conflict, you exiled your own fire. Every time you suppressed the rage, the hunger, the storm, you poisoned your blood. This was not kindness. It was murder of the self. And the body count is high. Look into the mirror, see the corpses of choices you never made. Dreams slaughtered on the altar of politeness. Boundaries broken until nothing of you remained. That quiet ache in your chest, it is the weight of ghosts. It is the boy you were, rotting in chains, asking to be buried so something new can rise. Picture it. A dark sky, the earth torn open. You dig in silence, sweat dripping, breath sharp as the spade cuts into soil. The hole deepens, and in that pit you lower him. The man who bent, the boy who begged, the smiling puppet who thought obedience would bring him peace. You do not pray. You do not light candles. You simply cover him in dirt and walk away. Bury him, or he will bury you. Let the world mourn for their harmless sons, their obedient shadows. Not you. You are not here to be remembered as nice. Because here is the cold truth. Righteousness, without strength, collapses under pressure. Mercy without boundaries becomes slavery. Niceness without edge is camouflage for weakness. And predators sense it like blood. Do you think the wolf survives winter by being nice? Winter devours nice. Wolves endure by teeth, by hunger, by silence sharpened into blades. There is no need for speeches during this funeral. No audience. No applause. Only a man walking away from his own grave. Lighter, colder, freer. He knows now that survival has no place for the harmless. He understands that death must come before rebirth. That softness must rot before steel can be forged. And when you rise from this burial, there will be silence inside you. At first, it feels like emptiness. A heavy void where laughter used to sit. Where apologies used to live. But that emptiness is not your enemy. It is space. The throne room being cleared. Waiting for the sovereign to take his place. The old king is dead. Long live the new. Do not mistake this for cruelty. Do not confuse this with bitterness. This is liberation. The transition from echo to voice, from servant to sovereign, from shadow to flame. The boy who sought to please was always doomed, because the world feeds on those who feed it with compliance. But the man who buries him becomes untouchable. Walk through the storm now, and you will feel the difference. Eyes that once searched for approval now pierce like arrows. Words that once bubbled to fill silence fall silent themselves. Because silence carries weight you never knew you had. You will stop chasing, begging, bending. You will move like stone in the river. Unyielding, calm, immovable. The nice man cannot survive here. But the man forged from his death, he commands survival. He does not ask. He does not wait. He does not kneel. This is the funeral of weakness. This is the death of the boy who bowed. Do not mourn him. Do not honor him. Do not wear his ghost on your shoulders. Stand over his grave, breathe deeply, and walk away. And when you do, the world will feel it. They will not know what died inside you, but they will sense something darker, sharper, heavier. The harmless man is gone. What stands in his place is dangerous, silent, unyielding. And when they look into your eyes, they will see it. The crown does not fit the bowed head. The grave is full now. The throne is waiting. Scars. You've tried to hide them, on your skin, in your memory. In the silence of nights when the world moves on as if nothing marked you, nothing split you open. But the truth refuses to stay buried. Every scar you carry is proof. You walked into fire, and you walked out breathing. And that truth is heavier, sharper, and more valuable than anything a so-called perfect man can boast of. Weak men view scars as shame. They stitch their wounds shut and pretend they are whole, pretending the blade never touched them, pretending the betrayal was never real. They polish their faces smooth, hiding the fractures inside their chest. But the scarred man, the man who has tasted humiliation, heartbreak, loss, exile, he carries something far deeper. A map, a secret geography no one else can read. Every scar is a direction marker. Every wound healed into flesh is a compass carved by pain, pointing you away from illusions and toward reality. Think back. You remember the first cut, the friend who turned traitor, the lover who bled you dry, the rejection that made your stomach choke with unbearable heat. At the time it felt like death. But here you stand, breathing, harder, colder, changed. That scar is not a memory of death. It is the reminder that you are still alive after it. They told you pain is weakness. They lied. Pain is the body's language for transformation. Fire speaks to steel in the same way. Scars are the dialogue between chaos and survival. The world carved into you not to destroy you, but to map the places where softness burned away and strength grew. Look at history. Every emperor, every warlord, every wolf who wore the crown of power, scarred, not merely in body, but in soul. They endured exile, betrayal, banishment, starvation. They were cracked open and reshaped into men the easy path never forges. And you are no different. But here's the cold warning. Scars demand interpretation. If you look at them with bitterness, they chain you to the past. If you look at them with shame, they turn you into your own jailer. But if you stare at them with ruthless clarity, they reveal something others will never see: coordinates. That heartbreak. It taught you who never deserved your devotion. That betrayal, it showed you how masks rot into true faces when pressure mounts. That humiliation, it taught you the sting of vulnerability unshielded. And in teaching, it gave you steel where there once was flesh. Imagine your scars not as accidents, but as runes burned into your body, a private scripture no other man can translate. Each line across the skin, each aching memory across the mind, each sleepless night carved into the bones. This is your map. You are not wandering blindly. Your scars are guiding you. They whisper, "Do not walk there. You've been ambushed there. Do not kneel there. You've bled there. Do not waste breath where forgiveness was mocked." This is why scarred men move differently. They need not roar. Their silence carries the memory of fire. People feel it, though they do not understand it. When they see you, they sense something unspoken, that you have been cut down before, and risen with teeth sharper than before. Predators hesitate when they smell scars, because scars tell them this man survives ambushes. This man bleeds, but does not break. This man is not prey. Yes, some scars run invisible, hidden, psychological lacerations no one else will ever measure, because they are carved deep in the marrow of identity. And yet those marks are even more dangerous than the ones on skin. They rewrite how you see. They reforge how you move. They sharpen how you hear lies between words. Invisible scars become weapons only you can wield. So what is the shift? It is to stop hiding them. Stop running from the mirror. Your scars are not stains that ruin the picture. They are proof you were tempered in fire. They are not weakness disguised. They are victory recorded in flesh. Do not polish your life into a false mirror of smoothness. Men with no scars are men untested, men untempered, men fragile. They break at the first strike. But you have been struck many times, and still you stand. Understand, scars are not just survival. They are initiation. Every mark is a threshold crossed. Every wound healed is a gate passed. Boys dream of easy paths. Men walk through fire, and fire leaves names written on them. You are not who you were before. And that is the point. So the next time shame whispers to you through a scar, silence it. Look at it instead with cold gratitude. That scar did not make you weaker. It made you untouchable in one more dimension. Scar tissue is harder than original flesh. Pain has written you into someone the world cannot casually erase. Read your body, read your mind. Read the cuts you carry in silence. They form the only map that matters. A map that led you here. A map that leads to the throne waiting in exile. And remember this? Smooth men drown in storms. Scarred men walk through thunder with calm eyes, because every bolt has already struck them before. You are scarred. You are marked. And you are still here. That is not tragedy. That is scripture. That is your map. There is a silence in the wolf's eyes when winter bares its teeth. Snow slashes. Winds scream. Hunger gnaws at the flesh. And yet the wolf does not tremble. He does not pace in fear. He waits, still, patient, watching. Because flinching in the cold is permission for death to enter. And this law is the same for men. Life tests you in ambushes. It throws insults like stones, betrayals like daggers, humiliations like arrows aimed at your chest. And how do most men respond? They flinch. They react. They unveil the trembling throat that predators seek. The world is full of hyenas laughing at weakness, waiting for the twitch, the overreaction, the crack of self-control. Flinch once, and they tear you to pieces. You know this truth. It lives inside you already. Remember the moment someone embarrassed you in a crowd. The sting burning under your skin. The instant rage to defend, to explain, to shout, to restore what was taken. But what happened? The more you spoke, the smaller you became. They fed on your reactions. You gave them your blood. That single flinch branded you prey. The wolves, however, they do not give this luxury. They stare. They absorb the blow like ice, absorbing footfalls. Their silence is heavier than a roar. And suddenly the predator hesitates, because there is no weakness visible, no throat exposed, no crack to tear open. The one who does not flinch becomes untouchable. This is not about cruelty. It is about mastery. Every insult is an arrow, demanding a target. If you flinch, the arrow finds flesh. If you stand still, the arrow falls to the ground. Useless, powerless, mocked by your silence. You turn the battlefield upside down. The attacker wastes his breath, while you conserve yours. Power shifts in your favor, without a single word spoken. Consider chess. The novice reacts to every move in panic. The master waits, observes, sacrifices pawns to see the greater pattern. He does not flinch at temporary loss, because his eyes are locked on the king. Strategy thrives in stillness, not in spasms of reactivity. So too in life. The world tempts you to react at every turn. Scrolls of endless noise demanding outrage. Voices baiting you to argue. Shadows pulling you into debates that bend your spine until you are exhausted, bleeding attention, starving for recognition. But here is the ruthless truth. You must let them bark. Words cannot touch steel. No storm can move a mountain rooted in silence. Let them howl. Let them scratch their claws bloody against your stillness. The more you resist reaction, the more they bleed trying to cut stone. Do you not see it? The man who does not flinch is terrifying. He is immune to control, because what is control but the ability to provoke reaction? And if you cannot be provoked, you cannot be controlled. That is freedom, sharper than any sword. But make no mistake, stillness is not passivity. The wolf does not flinch, but he does not sleep. His silence is coiled, his body ready. He is still because he chooses when to move, not because he cannot move. And when he strikes, it is sudden, merciless, precise. This is the paradox of power. True strength hides in silence until it becomes action. So imagine your enemies, your doubters, the ones who wait to drain you. Picture them circling, waiting for your protest, your chatter, your desperate pleas. Then stare back with the emptiness of winter. Let silence tighten around them like a noose. Do not flinch. Savor how their laughter falters. Watch how discomfort cracks their mask as they beg for reaction that never comes. That is when you will know you are no longer prey. And for yourself. Flinching is not only about others. It is about you against yourself. The pain you run from, that you mask with distractions, that is its own provocation. Discipline whispers inside like hunger. Will you flinch at it too? Or will you stand silent, unmoving, until your weakness shatters under the weight of your endurance? The wolves do not flinch, because flinching wastes life. Every twitch of weakness is blood spilled. Every impulsive word is strength wasted. Every defensive reaction chains your throat. But he who waits, he who endures silently, becomes something rare. He becomes feared. He becomes respected by enemies, followed by allies, envied by the restless. Think of the throne. Only those who resist panic and storms sit upon it. The throne does not belong to the frantic. It belongs to the unmoving. Kings are not crowned by frenzy, but by silence. The silence of men who watched kingdoms burn and did not blink. Will you flinch, or will you remain still as wolves in snow, while weaker men tremble and scatter? Will you preserve your fire by containing it, holding it, waiting until strike and silence become indistinguishable? Remember this always. The man who flinches surrenders control. The man who does not flinch, even under fire, commands it. The difference between king and slave lies in that single breath of stillness. So train it. Hold the silence. Absorb the storm. Betray nothing. Not fear, not rage, not desperation. Your eyes must become the frozen river others dare not step upon. Your breath must become the quiet rhythm of a predator pacing the edge of darkness. You must teach yourself to meet chaos with stillness, attack with patience, insult with a glance that breaks bones. Do not flinch, not once, not ever. Because the first twitch invites the knife. The first break invites the flood. And once they taste your weakness, they never stop feeding. So, wait, observe, breathe. And when you strike, make the silence before it the loudest sound your enemies will ever hear. The strongest fires are not seen. They burn in secret chambers, in hidden furnaces, in exile far from the warmth of approval. Weak men set their fires in public squares, begging for applause, craving eyes to validate their heat. But that flame exposed to the air of others, flickers fragile, fades fast. The real fire, the fire that forges unbreakable steel, is born where no eye watches, where you are utterly alone. You know this hunger. You want the world to see you, to acknowledge the storms you've survived, to kneel at the sight of your work, and yet, true forging never comes in the light. Applause is theft. Crowds dilute the process. Creation requires solitude, silence, brutality against the self, because fire is dangerous, unwilling to be shared safely. It must remain hidden until it is untouchable. Think of the warrior in exile. He does not have coaches cheering him, or banners raised in his name. He trains where no voice echoes. His sword cuts the air with no one to marvel at its speed. His blood spills into soil that no one bothers to claim. And in that emptiness, he becomes lethal. Why? Because only pressure without witness can reshape a man without compromise. When no one is watching, there are no masks. You cannot fake endurance in a dark room with no applause. You cannot pretend discipline when no one is clapping. What remains in solitude is the truth. Either you fight for yourself, or you decay. Many men decay because they cannot survive without being seen. They crave recognition like air, mistaking applause for oxygen. And so their fire burns bright for a moment, then smolders into ash. But the man who builds in darkness, his fire is different. He wakes in silence. He trains unseen. He plans where even shadows do not listen. His victories remain unpublished, his strength invisible. And then, one day, when the world accidentally glimpses him, it realizes too late, this man was not idle. This man was not stagnant. He was burning the whole time, hidden in exile, growing into something untouchable. What is stronger? The tree rooted deep in the hidden earth, unseen by the sky, unseen until it erupts upward, or the weed that grows in daylight, flaunting itself, fragile, torn apart by the first gust? You already know the answer. Depth requires the unseen. And yet, solitude terrifies most men. To be alone with their fire, with no witnesses, feels unbearable. They want affirmation. They want validation. They want noise. But the truth is simple. Greatness is a furnace. No crowd can enter. It is your private crucible. It is the chamber where comfort dies, and the man who walks out is carved in silence. This is why exile is a gift. Loneliness is not abandonment. It is coronation in disguise. Those who abandon you have simply gifted you fire free from their breath. Their absence is oxygen. Their betrayal is coal. Their indifference is wind, fanning flames you did not even know you carried. And as you burn alone, you leave the boy of yesterday behind. He needed witnesses. He needed applause. You do not. Let the others chase noise. Let them plaster their fires across the stage. Let them scream for recognition. You burn in caves. You forge in exile. You sharpen steel where no one claps, no one comforts, no one cares. And that is why your fire will outlast theirs. By the time your light is revealed, it will not flicker. It will blind. You must realize, the fire without witnesses is not empty. It is holy. It is ruthless. It strips away every illusion, every distraction, every weakness you hide behind. Alone, you are forced to meet yourself, and that confrontation ignites power no audience could ever provide. Do you feel it? The difference between men who train for the camera and men who train in silence. One becomes a spectacle. The other becomes immortal. The crowd forgets, the applause fades. But silence remembers. Silence is eternal. And when the day comes that you finally step outside, when your fire, hidden all these years, finally roars into the world, it will not ask permission. It will not beg for followers. It will not tremble for applause. It will engulf everything weak. It will command. Because fire that is unseen burns longest, and fire without witnesses burns beyond reach. So stop craving to be noticed. Stop waiting for recognition. Stop measuring yourself by applause. The world does not care how loudly you burn. It only kneels when the fire itself cannot be denied. Stay unseen. Burn anyway. Forge anyway. Train, bleed, build, and sharpen in silence. When nobody watches, burn. When nobody cares, burn. When they forget your name, burn. Because the fiercest fire does not need their eyes. It consumes even in darkness. The fire without witnesses is the most dangerous. And when the world finally sees it, it is too late to stop it. Exile. The word tastes like abandonment. Like a sentence handed down in silence. It feels like being cast into the wilderness alone. Forgotten by those you once trusted. Ignored by those you once served. Shunned by those you once called brothers. And at first, it feels like death. But the truth is stranger. Exile is not a curse. It is a crown placed on your head by the unseen hand of fate. Every man who rises must first be banished. Every king was once an outcast, stripped of belonging and left to wander without warmth. Do you think strength is forged at the banquet? Do you think sovereignty is gifted by friends? No. Strength is the son of solitude, and sovereignty is carved into the bones of those who have walked through exile without breaking. Remember the betrayals that emptied your chest of trust, the rooms where you stood invisible, the cold goodbyes said through silence. Not words. At the time they felt like wounds too heavy to carry. But exile was doing its work. It was separating you. It was teaching you the hidden lesson. No man becomes sovereign by being surrounded. Every man who wears the hidden crown must first learn the taste of abandonment. When they left you, when they cast you out, they thought it was rejection. But exile is not rejection. It is refinement. Exile strips away everything unnecessary, every false layer, every fragile dependency. Alone you learn truths the crowd never touches. Alone you feel the cold so deep, it either kills you or forges you. Alone you discover that the voice no one else hears is your true voice. Think of the wolf cast from the pack, starving through winter hunts, hated by his own blood. At first, he is weaker. At first he suffers on the edge of death. But as each night cracks and each storm beats him down, he grows sharper, faster, deadlier. And when he returns, if he returns, he is no longer soft. He is no longer dependent. He is no longer a wolf. He is something else. The lone predator the pack now fears. This is what exile does to men. It is the place where boys go to die, and where kings are born. It is coronation not acknowledged by crowds, but written into your marrow. Those exiled do not wear gilded crowns made of jewels and praise. They wear crowns made of silence, scars, and unshakable will. That is the crown of exile. So remember the loneliness you hated. Remember those nights of silence, where it felt as if the world forgot you. That was not punishment. That was initiation. Not everyone is chosen. Not everyone is pulled into isolation. Only those marked by fire, only those destined to rise beyond the crowd, are granted the throne that starts with exile. The weak cry out, "They abandoned me, they betrayed me, they do not see me." The strong whisper, "Good, let them leave." Because every loss is another chain broken. Every person who turns away is a door closing, but behind that door is freedom from dependence. Exile teaches you not to need, not their voices, not their approval, not their recognition. And when you finally grasp this, you understand the silent crown that has been placed upon you. You cannot be dethroned, because your throne is not built on their applause. You cannot be abandoned, because you have already walked alone. You cannot be broken, because exile has already starved you and left you breathing. This is the cruel magic of exile. The more you embrace it, the stronger the crown becomes. But the crown is invisible to the world until it is too late. Exiled men move like kings, without needing to announce it. Their silence carries the weight of abandoned nights. Their eyes reflect the cold of winters endured. Their will hardens with the pressure of solitude. People sense it though they cannot name it. They feel the crown though they never saw it placed. Understand this. Exile is not the end. It is the coronation no one attends. It is the initiation no one applauds. It is the crowning that requires only one witness. You. So the next time you find yourself emptied of companionship, stripped of support, placed outside the walls where the rest sit laughing, know what is happening. The weight you feel on your head is not burden. It is the crown pressing into your skull. Heavy, sharp, unmerciful. But it belongs to you now, and if you can carry it through silence, it will be yours forever. The world will not understand why you walk differently, why your silence is so sharp, why your presence is so heavy. But you will know, because only the exiled wear this type of crown. Only those who have been forced to walk alone are anointed in the fire of solitude. Do not curse your exile. Stand inside it. Let it starve you. Let it harden you. Let it place its weight on you, until you no longer tremble beneath it. Because when you return, when you sit among the same ones who left you behind, they will not recognize what sits before them. A man crowned in exile does not need their validation. He needs nothing but the silence that forged him. This is your burden. This is your gift. This is your unseen coronation. Exile is the path of kings. The mirror has no mercy. When you stare long enough, it does not return the mask you wear for others. It does not echo the smile you have trained yourself to fake. It does not confirm the lies you whisper to soften reality. The mirror shows what you are, and for most men, the sight is unbearable. Look closely. Do you see it? The cracks around your eyes are not from laughter. They are from nights spent bending, accommodating, apologizing. Your back hunches not from age, but from carrying burdens that were never yours. Your jaw clenches, not from dominance, but from rage swallowed too many times. The mirror tells you coldly, you have been too kind, too forgiving, too soft, and kindness without fangs is not virtue. It is suicide. This is where ruthlessness enters. Not as cruelty, not as abuse. Ruthlessness is not the lash of a tyrant's whip. Ruthlessness is clarity sharpened to a blade. It is the refusal to betray yourself for the comfort of others. It is the ability to cut away parasites, illusions, and weakness without guilt. If you cannot be ruthless, you cannot rule yourself. And a man who cannot rule himself can never rule anything else. You hesitate. You tell yourself it is noble to be endlessly giving, endlessly patient, endlessly understanding. But deep inside, you know the truth. That so-called nobility was cowardice wrapped in costume. You were afraid to lose people, afraid to displease, afraid to be called cold, harsh, heartless. So you sold yourself piece by piece, execution by kindness. That is what the mirror reveals. But the man who accepts ruthlessness, he turns the blade inward first. He looks into himself and cuts what does not belong. He removes the dead weight of excuses. He severs the ties to softness that have poisoned his spine. He amputates the identity of the nice man. And as the fragments fall away, what remains is frightening. A version of himself no longer begging for mercy, but dispensing it deliberately. This is the dangerous beauty of ruthlessness. When it grows out of silence, it becomes judgment without apology. The ruthless man decides who stays and who goes. He decides what he will serve and what he will abandon. He knows the cost of loyalty, but he pays it only once. Betray him, mock him, break him once, and he cuts you away forever. No arguments, no explanations, no second chances. Do you understand the power in this? Most men are chained by guilt. They fear being called selfish, arrogant, cold. Meanwhile, parasites drink them dry. Betrayers drain their patience. Manipulators feast on their endless mercy. The ruthless man does not play that game. His boundaries are not fences. They are walls of stone, and those who test them meet silence sharp enough to cut. This is mastery. Being ruthless is not violence. Violence is crude, a tool for the desperate. Ruthlessness is precise, surgical, clean, like a blade cutting cancer from the body. Like frost killing the weak branch so the tree survives the storm. It is not evil. It is necessity. Ask yourself, what has endless mercy ever built you? Did it bring you respect? Did it give you strength? Did it crown you? Or did it leave you dismissed, drained, and discarded? The mirror does not lie. Weak compassion is slow death. Ruthlessness is the antidote. Yes, there will be those who fear your silence, those who despise your steel, and let them. Their disdain is their confession. They know they cannot control you anymore. The man they could guilt, manipulate, ambush, that man has been buried. What stands in his place is untouchable, and untouchable men command in ways words never could. Understand this distinction. Ruthlessness is not mindless cruelty. Ruthlessness is discipline wielded without apology. Mercy has its place, but only when it flows from power. Mercy from weakness is humiliation. Mercy from strength is sovereignty. You decide who drinks from your well, not them. You decide who hears your voice, not them. You decide who burns in your silence, not them. And that is why ruthlessness is necessary. Without it, you are a feast for other men. With it, you are famine for their dependence. Ruthlessness is the crown carved from steel. And once you wear it, nothing soft can touch you without being broken. Look back into that mirror again. Breathe. Do not lie to yourself. You know already which chains must be cut, which voices must be silenced, which illusions must be burned. The truth is plain. Ruthlessness is the only honesty left. If you step into it, people will leave, and they should. If you wield it, some will fear you, and they should. If you live it, you will lose the fake peace of endless approval, but in return, you gain the only peace that matters, the sovereignty of yourself. Do not be afraid of the reflection that seems colder. Do not fear the gaze that looks heartless. The ruthless man is not heartless. He simply refuses to let his heart be used as a target. He stands with fire in his chest and steel in his spine, ruling himself absolutely. Only then can he rule a world that bows only to men cut by silence, sharpened by exile. The mirror of ruthlessness does not flatter. It condemns and crowns at once. And once you accept its verdict, you are no longer prey, you are sovereign. Power is not born from noise. It is not held by those who explain, justify, defend, or beg. Thrones are not built from chatter. They are built from silence. Look around you. Men everywhere drowning in words, explaining themselves to anyone who will listen, posting their pain for strangers to consume, filling every space with apologies, clarifications, excuses, desperate for someone to approve their existence. They do not understand that words spill power. A man who speaks too much empties his own chest until nothing remains inside him but dust. But silence, that is different. Silence holds weight. Silence bends the air. When you enter a room with silence, men turn to look without knowing why. They feel it in their bones. This is not a man who squanders himself in noise. This is a man who understands the oldest law of power. What is unspoken shakes the soul more deeply than what is screamed. Even the enemy knows this fear. When you do not react, when you do not answer, when you do not explain, their mind turns against them. They replay their words. They hear echoes where your silence should be. They imagine strength behind your stillness. They suffer not from your attack, but from your calm refusal to move. This is throne, power, stillness that subdues without blood. Have you noticed? The greatest kings in history spoke seldom and briefly. Their silence weighed more than the shouting of 1,000 courtiers. Why? Because silence forces others to fill the void. It is the emptiness into which ambition, fear, and respect all pour themselves. And throughout history, only the sovereign has mastered it. You must learn this. You must strip away the compulsion to explain yourself to the world. You owe no one your reasons. You owe no one your past. You owe no one your truth. The more you give in words, the less you command in presence. Words are coins. Spend enough, and you become poor. But keep them close, hoarded, sharp, and suddenly every word you choose becomes gold. The crowd demands your voice. They hunger to provoke you, to pull from you a reaction, to make you dance with noise. Do not give it to them. Let them choke on your silence. Let them burn in the void of your restraint. Because the moment you refuse to explain, you force them to confront the truth. You are not playing the same game. And remember this, the throne is not something you take with shouts. Loud men are disposable. They come and go like storms, violent, noisy, destructive, but gone by morning. The throne belongs to stone, to stillness, to the silence that remains after the storm passes. Because the throne is not given by applause, it is taken by presence, and presence is born from silence. Think of the battlefield. The army that screams and chants before battle spends its fire in the air. But the army that advances wordless, shields locked, eyes cold, the enemy feels dread before the first clash. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is war. So too within yourself. There is a silence you must forge inside your mind. That inner noise, the spiraling doubts, the endless overthinking, the voices clawing for explanation. Kill them. Train your mind to watch without words. Train your eyes to see without commentary. Train your chest to breathe without panic. Because when you build silence within, the outer world bends itself to that silence. What lives in your mind radiates through your presence. There is a reason the wolf does not howl on every hunt. Silence is his weapon. Silence enables patience, precision, domination. The loud animal starves. The quiet one feeds. And men are no different. Loud men scatter their energy in the hunt for validation. Silent men harvest power because their focus never leaks. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to announce what you are building. You do not need the spotlight. Thrones never belong to the loud. Loudness reveals desperation. Silence reveals mastery. A throne built from silence cannot be shaken, because it was never held by applause in the first place. And when that day comes, when you choose to speak, your words cleave like a sword. Because they have waited for your voice. They have hungered for it. And when it finally breaks the silence, it carries the weight of thunder after a long, still sky. That is how kings speak. Not often, not with haste, but with precision that echoes longer than endless chatter ever could. Sit with this truth. Silence is not weakness. Silence is pressure. Silence is the throne itself. Every man who learns this law rises above those who drain themselves in noise. Every man who masters silence commands without lifting his voice. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, to defend, to beg, remember, all thrones are carved in silence. Every word you save builds your crown heavier. Every silence you hold lays another stone in your fortress. Do not squander it. Speak less, move less, reveal less. Let the world crave your presence long before they hear your voice. Because in the end, it is not the loud that rule. It is not the frantic. It is not the explainers. It is the silent ones. The men who built their throne not in noise but in stillness. You must become that man. Winter is where most men are lost. You know the kind faces pale from months of silence. Eyes dull, voices broken. Winter suffocates them. The cold strips away the illusions, the warmth of companionship, the easy noise that hides their hunger. Alone in the frost, they wither. They collapse into ghosts and never return. But a few, a rare few, they endure the long frost. They breathe the knives of winter wind. They stand in the emptiness of exile, and something inside of them refuses to die. It hardens. It ignites. It prepares. These are the men who return from winter. Men burned into steel by silence. Men who rise back from the frost as predators the world did not see coming. Do you understand the difference? Weak men pray for escape. Strong men use winter as their forge. You have walked through nights where your chest felt hollow. Through mornings where your body obeyed but your soul wanted to vanish. You have stared at ceilings in the dark, asking why you still breathe, asking what this endless cold is building you into. And the answer came not in words but in silence. Winter is breaking you down to rebuild you, stripping weakness, carving discipline, freezing out illusions until the only thing left beating in your chest is ruthless fire. The man who returns from winter does not seek pity. He does not speak of despair. He carries it in his eyes like a graveyard that no one dares to enter. Those who look into that gaze feel a weight they cannot name. Because the returning man has crossed something most will never face: death of the boy, rebirth of the sovereign. Think carefully. When you emerged from pain last time, didn't you feel the shift? You no longer responded to noise the way you used to. Your patience grew colder. Your silence carried fire. You saw through lies as if your vision had sharpened to see behind masks. That was winter's gift. Winter wounds, yes, but it also awakens. Winter is initiation. the final test. If exile crowned you and silence armed you, then winter completes you. It is the battlefield where you either collapse permanently or return immortal in spirit. That is why so few ever rise from it. Those who do, they are never the same. They walk heavier. Their presence is unyielding. Not because they shout, but because they no longer have to. Survival itself hangs around them like an invisible cloak. Humiliation could not kill them. Loneliness could not crush them. Betrayal did not finish them. Even winter could not bury them. And so, who could? The man who returns from winter understands something the world does not. He no longer needs it. He has seen what waits when everything is taken, and he still breathes. He has already walked empty-handed through exile, already eaten alone at the feast of silence, already stood abandoned when nobody came, and still, he lives. Still, he sharpens. Still, he moves forward. That man cannot be controlled anymore. You must see the truth. Men like this are rare because the path kills most before it crowns any. But when it chooses you, when the fire truly survives the frost, you are no longer a man in waiting. You are a man returned. Returned sharper. Returned colder. Returned sovereign. How do you know you have returned from winter? You do not chase. You do not explain yourself. You do not beg. You do not starve for recognition the way you once did. You move through the world with a calm that terrifies the restless. Silence is no longer awkward. Silence is your throne. Pain is no longer enemy. Pain is your script. Exile is no longer wound. Exile is your crown. You do not need noise. You do not need warmth. You need only yourself. And the world will feel that difference. Even if you never announce it, they will know. Even if you do not speak it, they will sense it. Even if you never roar, they will see it in your eyes, that you have walked through winter and returned, that you carry in your blood the frost of exile and the fire of scars, that you are not harmless anymore. So when they ask what happened to you, do not explain. Simply look at them with the quiet weight of survival. Let them guess. Let them whisper. Let them wonder how a man they discarded returns with eyes sharper than knives. That mystery is your crown. Those who return from winter never need to justify themselves. Winter chose you for a reason. It called upon you to strip you to bone and ash. And yet here you stand. Scarred. Yes. Changed, yes. But standing. Breathing. Waiting. And that is enough. That is sovereignty. That is the birth of the man who no longer flinches, no longer begs, no longer kneels. You have returned. No permission needed. No announcement given. Only presence.